What's going on, my peeps? So I wanted to make a video on lights. Um, Try to help people understand why we use the lights we do, what the difference is between a good light and a cheap light, and hopefully share enough information to keep you from wasting money on things that are just not going to last. So to start off with, I have an Arcadia bulb here. This is a 6%. To kind of go over the way that they work, it might help you understand how having the correct fixture will help your Arcadia bulb last a year. So first off, let me take it out of the box here. Okay. So you see here, you have your pins. On the inside of the pins, connected is an electrode. There's an electrode on each side of the bulb. Inside the bulb, there is a drop of liquid mercury, and there is argon gas. The film that's inside the glass of the bulb is phosphor. And whenever the bulb lights, it causes UV radiation. Whenever it's passing through the phosphor, that's what gives you your visible light. And using the different types of phosphor will give you your UVB count. So you get your different percentages. Now, in some bulbs, you may pay a cheaper price. But when you do, they're going to skimp on certain areas. One of those would be the phosphors, so they'll use cheap phosphors. Now, whenever you use cheap phosphors, the problem with that is, yeah, you may still get a readable amount of UVB out of that bulb. But those phosphors are going to burn out prematurely. So you're only going to get maybe 6 months out of it. Versus Arcadia uses high-end phosphor. And with that, it's not going to burn out, and that's why their bulbs will last a year. Now, going on with the fixtures. So with the fixtures, Arcadia has the Pro T5 kit. And with the Pro T5 kit, they have electronics in there that keep it from overdriving the bulb by putting too much wattage to it, or underdriving the bulb, not enough wattage. So it constantly monitors and makes sure that your bulb is getting the correct amount of wattage that it needs to run efficiently. So if you use, say, a cheaper fixture, it looks the same and everything, and it costs half the price. There's a high chance that that thing could either overdrive the bulb or underdrive the bulb. If it's underdrove, then you're not getting the amount of light out of that bulb you're supposed to. If it's overdrove, then it's heating up the electrodes inside, and they're getting too hot, which will prematurely start burning out your phosphors, which will start to burn out the bulb prematurely. So that's why it's important to make sure you have a quality fixture that you know you can trust. Now, also, with a quality fixture, you have the reflector. The reflector is very important. On some of these reflectors that you get from like the grow industry. Now, when you're dealing with ultraviolet rays, ultraviolet rays will tear things up quickly. You have a tub that's sitting outside in the sun, and it sits out there for a couple months. You can go over and it turns brittle and you can break it. So it's the same thing you're dealing with here with these bulbs. It's still putting off ultraviolet rays. So to make the reflectors last longer, they usually coat it in something that's a UV protectant. So it kind of defeats the purpose. If you have a reflector there, but you have a coating on it that protects it from ultraviolet rays, the ultraviolet rays can't get to the coating, so how are they being reflected back? They're not. So whenever you run them, if you have a UV meter, you will see that you're not getting any benefit by having that reflector on there. Now with the Pro T5 kit by Arcadia, they do not put a coating over their reflector. Instead, they use a reflective material that's very high quality, that is not going to be destroyed by these ultraviolet rays in 6 months, a year. They will last anywhere from 2 to 3 years, actually. So if you buy a Pro T5 kit and you have a reflector that lasts you 3 years, and you know that it has safety components inside, safety electronics that are monitoring everything that's going on, and you have an Arcadia bulb, you know that your bulb is going to last 1 year. And you know you have a fixture that's going to last you 2 to 3 years. So you're really not saving any money by getting a cheaper fixture, because you're going to have to replace it more often than if you just went with a quality one that you don't have to replace often at all. And whenever you have that good reflective material, like on the Pro T5 kit, and it doesn't have a coating on there, it's actually reflecting all the UVB that you want down to where you want it. And it's not just being wasted, being absorbed by coating. Now with that also being said, there's a reason why you have different percentages of UVB. Now, in the natural environment that this animal is from, whether it be a chameleon or a bearded dragon, a uromastic, any of those things, they have evolved and adapted for the amount of light and energy that has available to them. So if you had a chameleon and you put him underneath a 14% UVB and he can get too close to it, his evolution is not designed for that. It can easily burn his skin, his scales, it can mess up his eyes. It has a lot of bad side effects by doing so. You have to remember that all light is energy, and the more light you produce, the more energy you're producing. So you say like a desert species like a bearded dragon has heavier scales, thicker scales, because they're built for the amount of UVB that they get. That's their protection. So you have to look into the species that you have, how big your enclosure is, how far away are they going to be away from this UVB bulb. You don't want them to be able to get within 6 inches. 6 inches is just way too close. So say like in our dragons, we keep them in 4 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot enclosures. So we have a 2 foot Pro T5 kit with a 14% bulb. That'll give us our UV rating of 4 to 6 at their basking points. Now, if you're going down to an enclosure that's 18 inches tall, you're going to want to go to a 12% desert bulb. You don't want the 14% dragon. 18 inches is too close. So if you go to the 12%, then you can give him the readings they need in their basking spots. The 14% is really only meant for covering square feet of space. So you're going to want at least 2 feet up for the 14% dragon bulb. If you guys have any other questions on this, you can either contact us on any of our social media platforms. Instagram is the best. That's where you'll get your fastest response. You can also email us. The emails go directly to my phone, so I will get back to them as fast as possible. Arcadia Reptile also has a lighting guide on their website that's really good. If you go there and you put in your species, it will tell you the lamp requirements for the basking spot that you have. So when you put in, say, like bearded dragon, whenever it brings it up, it'll have the measurements and all the inches. And it'll tell you if the basking spot's at this inch, or this inch, use this bulb, or this bulb. Now, one other thing that I'd like to add is if you are running any type of screen, so say you have your fixture sitting on top of a screen like a 40-gallon breeder tank or something like that, that screen is actually going to, in a sense, filter out some of your UVB. Because whenever the light goes down and hits that screen, it's reflecting the light back up at the bulb. So not all of it is going down. So in that case, you're going to have to take into account that you may be losing 20% of your light depending on the screen. Some screens are less, some screens are more. You don't want your bulb touching the screen directly, because if it is, that's less light that's coming out versus if you even just lifted it half an inch off the screen. Now with Arcadia's Pro T5 kits, the reflector does hang down farther than the bulb to correct that issue. That way the bulb is sitting up off of the screen and allowing all of your light to come down where it needs to go. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this video and you found the information usable. Like I said, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us.